I'm Dr. Olivia Walch. I'm an adjunct investigator at the University of Michigan in the Department of Neurology, and I'm also the CEO of a company called Arcoscope that makes software for sleep and circadian rhythms. SleepAccel came from me really wanting to know how Fitbit, Garmin, all these wearable companies that have come out did their sleep tracking. We knew it had something to do with motion and something to do with heart rate, but what was the formula? And so I decided to collect my own data to try and reverse engineer what they could be doing and understand how much did heart rate matter? How much was motion doing? What if you used logistic regression? What if you used a random forest classifier? All these different ways of slicing and dicing the data. So funded by the University of Michigan athletics department, and in collaboration with Dr. Kathy Goldstein at University of Michigan, we collected data. So this is a data set from people who were wearing an Apple Watch in a sleep lab that was set up using code by me to sample acceleration at a really high sampling rate. We usually think of actigraphy as giving you like one number every 30 seconds, which is not a lot of numbers. We were getting 80 to 100 numbers per second, 80 to 100 hertz. And just from starting the watch in record mode, using the code I wrote and piping that to the phone. At the same time, we also had people undergoing polysomnography. So this way we wouldn't just be like, oh, they were moving, they were awake, they were asleep. If they weren't moving, like that sort of very crude level, we actually got it so that we had the gold standard to compare to. So the SleepAccel data set is the data collected from about 30 people in this way, brought them into the sleep lab, put an Apple Watch on them, got high resolution acceleration data, photoplasmography, so that's Apple's heart rate, and PSG. And some very cool stuff has come out of it. So our paper on that data showed we really did not improve on sleep versus wake classification using heart rate. Motion was pretty much all you needed there. Granted, this was heart rate from the optical sensor, which is going to be a little different than heart rate from, say, like an ECG. But we also found that heart rate was really critical if you wanted to do anything with sleep staging. That said, we weren't using the full motion data set in our first paper on this 2019. And in the time since, we've really started to dig into what you can get out of this really, really high resolution acceleration data. And it sure as heck seems like you can get heart rate and other signals that mean you might just need a really good accelerometer to do sleep staging. We're accessing the raw sensors on this device and making it public so other people can train algorithms on this type of data for themselves. Well, one is that we actually have more we're going to be adding to it. So expect another reach out from me when we've got more of this raw acceleration, heart rate, and PSG data collected. But it's just like I said, we think people can start making their own algorithms from this and really understanding, okay, what matters? Like, do we need heart rate for sleep versus wake detection? How much can we push the accuracy of a sleep classifier when we have way better acceleration data? My take on the field right now is we're about as far as we can on getting value out of activity counts. So like the Philips ActiWatch, if you're trying to be more accurate at predicting sleep with a Philips ActiWatch, you can bring in the fanciest models you've got, and you'll probably still only get like 65% of the wake right. Whereas if you have really, really high resolution acceleration data, there I think you can start to say something more interesting and better, more accurate. And you can even start to maybe not just think about each chunk of time as a sleep category, but be more like, this seems to be REM-y, non-REM, and really get a more textured view. And so I think the biggest and most exciting thing about this data set is just that it's high resolution accelerometer data from a really nice accelerometer in the Apple Watch. I love the NSRR. I think the data sets in it are such a boon to the sleep world. And in our 2019 paper, originally presenting on this, we used MESA data. It was critical. And I think the MESA data set, I think it's Hispanic Community Health Survey, like these are amazing data sets that really are helping us understand not just the contribution of sleep duration to health, but also sleep regularity and circadian metrics that we can start to extract from them. So it was really a no-brainer. I really think the field will just move faster and gain insights more quickly the more willing people are to share their data, especially in the sleep world, because we know different groups sleep in different ways. And like if you're building a sleep model, like is it going to work equally well for people with sleep apnea, people with REM behavior disorder? Like it's really hard to collect all that data yourself, and data sharing enables us to all get better and smarter together. I think it's just such a no-brainer so often to share your data. One of the downsides is that it's very rarely incentivized, right? Like the NIH is starting to change that, but without someone telling you you've got to do this, it can be really hard to sit down and go through the work of de-identifying your data set, making sure everything's like nice and square, and then getting it uploaded. So kudos to everyone who's done that, because I think it really does just make all boats rise. Big fan of data sharing. I don't just think you should share data. I also love sharing code. And so both on my personal GitHub and on my company's GitHub, we have the code to process this data set. And we're basically building a package to help people build, deploy their own sleep models. It's partially funded by the Navy. It's called Pisces, like the astrological sign. It stands for Pipeline for Sleep Classification and Evaluation. So if anyone wants to make use of our open source tooling for working with data of this kind, head over to GitHub.